Hi everyone, Coach Sullivan here with MJS Coaching Football. My background, this is my 38th year coaching. I've either been a defensive, offensive, or special teams coordinator as well as a head coach at both the collegiate and high school levels. In this presentation, I want to talk to you about one of our what we call field boundary blitzes. Literally, a blitz designated to come from the field. All right, and so I'm only going to focus on that for right now. So for us, okay, field, the ball has to be on the hash mark. So I have it illustrated on the hash. Potentially, and I know other coaches have similar concepts. I know Tom Masella, when he was the defensive coordinator at UMass Amherst, my alma mater, I went up there, watching practices and so forth and talking with him. When they're in the middle of the field, they execute it, and I understood exactly what they were doing, but for me, I'm more comfortable making it defined for our players. When the ball's on the hash, is the only time I will make a call relative to our field boundary pressure. So field is literally the big field. So, in this case, ball's on the right hash, so anything on the left. All right, a boundary blitz would be obviously into the short side of the field. So we're going to focus on the field for now. Our field pressures begin with the letter F. So Florida is what this particular field pressure is called, and that is one of our cross blitzes. Okay, and we're telling them it's a cross blitz coming from the field. So therefore, we have some simple rules, and what's required of you as coaches is to make sure your kids understand this concept. What separates the field boundary blitz family from any other, it's entirely dependent upon how many wide receivers there are. Because then that determines who's available to blitz. Okay? Who exactly is available to blitz here? All right? So we have three simple rules, starting with when there is one wide receiver. Okay, so how do you define a wide receiver? It's an eligible receiver who is not a part of the box formation. So the box is typically from the center of the ball out as far as about a yard outside the offensive tackle. Okay? So if this were a wing, that's not a wide receiver. And I'll talk at the end about if there is no wide receiver, what do you do? Okay? So your kids have to be coached up, reminded. It starts off with, we'll take a look, how many wide receivers are there? Okay? So in this case, there's one. So our one wide receiver rule on any of our field pressures is the safety is involved in the blitz. Okay, it's automatic. As it says here, versus one wide receiver, it's a safety blitz. Okay? Florida is coming from the field, and it's a cross blitz. So if you see any of my Zone Read RPO playlists, we have a cross blitz in there, a rover cross or a dime cross. Well, this ends up being a safety cross, okay? So let me just talk about how this works. With one wide receiver, we are in what is called our trio. So you'd have to go to my Zone Blitz playlist, okay? But the people available in coverage, remember that's what this is predicated on. You have one wide receiver, so how does that dictate who's available to blitz? Well, the safety's available to the field because both corners are going to be playing number one with zone leverage. Again, see my Zone Blitz coverage playlist on trio. Both outside linebackers are going to be hot on number two. And both inside linebackers are going to be playing the combo on the running back and the quarterback. And this is versus 11 personnel or any personnel. Again, how many wide receivers are there? Okay. So that leaves our safety to the field. He's available to blitz. He doesn't have anything to worry about in coverage. Okay. And I'll talk about the other safety in a minute. So when we teach our field boundary and we put the ball in the hash in practice. So we say, okay, here's the field. So it's an automatic what? And the answer is lucky, coach. It's an automatic lucky. The blitz has to be coming from the left. There's another big coaching point. Okay? And since this is a one wide receiver, we know the safety's the one blitzing, so we also know there's going to be a rotation. So it's a lucky, and it has to be Louis. Okay? Lucky and Louis. And so both safeties are very involved in this. So I'm still going to stick with the field safety here. Happens to be the whip because the pass strength, I do this on purpose, is into the boundary. It's still a rip. Okay? So now we all have names. Each of these positions has a name. The whip is called Washington. So once we signal it's going to the field and it's in Florida, the kids are all screaming, lucky, 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 lucky. So everybody knows. Blitz is coming from the left. And then once the offense lines up and we see there's one wide receiver, the whip is screaming, Washington, 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 which is telling everyone who's blitzing. Okay? Washington. There's one wide receiver, the safety's blitzing. And since it's a cross blitz, the defensive end on the call side, so any lucky is going to be the end, is executing the flash into B, looping second, hence the cross, okay? So utilizing all the different coaching points given in various presentations, the timing in the screw down, the safety who's rotating middle isn't going to do it until the snap. But the screw down timing is huge. Maybe it's on this, or maybe it's when the quarterback lifts his foot, all the different things we've mentioned. But the timing is huge. The aiming point is the butt of the rover here, so they stay on side. And seeing the football on movement, the whip safety is blitzing hard as a son of a gun off the butt of the tight end, and he's coming first, and he's got the dive. The defensive end of the call, the end, is flash and B, loop it out into C, quarterback first, okay? And if there's any kind of a pitch, he'll peel off a pitch. But again, the premise of a field pressure, a field blitz, ball has to be on the hash. And when I signal we're going to field, all the kids are screaming lucky before I even know which one we're running. The pressure begins with the letter F because it's a field. Okay, we teach versus one wide receiver first, and the one wide receiver rule is the safety is going to be in the blitz. Boom, done. And in the case of Florida, it's our cross blitz, no matter who's running it. In the case of one wide receiver, it's the safety. So the defensive end is doing what he does on a cross blitz. Flash and B, loop and C. Flash and B, loop and C. Okay? And the last thing I want to talk about is the safety here. When the ball is on the hash, we keep safety on the hash. The other safety will follow normal alignment rules. So versus the tight end, he's 2x12 off the edge. Might not look like it, but he is. Okay. Safety stays on the hash because it's a shorter field. We utilize the sideline as our 12th defender. And then from the snap of the football, the safety is going to rotate to the middle of the field where the goalpost sticks in the ground because he is the deep third defender, middle third. Okay? So that is our first presentation of a field pressure that we call Florida versus one wide receiver. In subsequent presentations, we'll teach you the rule versus two wide receivers for Florida and three wide receivers for Florida. And the good news is all of our various field pressures, the rule who blitzes versus one wide receiver is the same. And that's as much as I'm going to say for now. How's that for a tease? All right, as always, please, any questions, feel free to reach out to me at CoachMJSullivan@gmail.com, and I'd love to talk football with you.